Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Utility Sports. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying the content that we've been posting recently. If so, make sure to hit the thumbs up button on today's video. Also, subscribe if you are new to Utility Sports. We're trying to focus a little bit more on hockey as we go through the playoffs as well, leading up to the offseason. We want to be pushing out content for both the NHL, also the NBA, a lot of that recently, some MLB content as well with some of our mock drafts and so on. And of course, never going to forget on the NFL as well, trying to do everything we possibly can here at Utility Sports. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss out on it. And in today's video, we are taking a little bit more of a focus on the Edmonton Oilers and the situation that is possibly brewing with their star Connor McDavid. They just got swept in the playoffs by the Winnipeg Jets in round one. And of course, a player of McDavid's stature, of his quality, his superstar player that he is, he doesn't want to be getting swept in round one. There's a little bit of a possibility, in my opinion, that maybe he becomes a little unsettled there in Edmonton and doesn't necessarily love staying in that area if they're going to continue losing in the playoffs early on in round one or missing the postseason. That's just not an option for him. He doesn't want to spend his career missing those times. He hasn't said anything indicating he wants out quite yet, so I'm not putting any words in his mouth. I don't want you guys to think that McDavid's requested a trade or anything like that. He has not yet. But at the age of 24, he's been arguably the best player in the NHL now for quite some time. He's had 5 seasons already in his first 6 years with at least 90 points. Also, those 5 seasons, he had 30-plus goals. He's turned into an elite goal scorer, also an elite playmaker, has great end-to-end speed, very, very fast with the puck on his stick as well. McDavid, of course, I don't have to tell you guys how great of a player he is. And looking at them as well, Leon Draisaitl, he's only 25 years old. McDavid's 24. Those two are the young stars that this Edmonton Oilers team is building around. However, they've got a pretty big offseason ahead of them. You look at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's 28 years old. He's going to be entering unrestricted free agency for the first time in his career. He could be a name that leaves Edmonton, and then you're really looking at a depleted forward grouping where you really have two great players in McDavid and Draisaitl, but you're looking at maybe the rest of that forward grouping, the rest of the lines not getting the job done around Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. There's so much pressure on those two players. They account for so many of their points, so many of their goals. They need to find other ways to win games. The defenseman situation, of course, Tyson Barrie's there. They need to improve in that area as well. Also could improve over Mike Smith and net. There's a lot of different things that this Edmonton Oilers team has to figure out. Here, you have to look at this team. Of course, they were a disaster before McDavid landed there. So, of course, they're happy with where they've already gotten to at this point in terms of, hey, we're stable a little bit more, and we have to be a competitive team each and every year. They're getting to that point, but at the end of the day, when you have someone like Connor McDavid, someone who's as transcendent as he is, I think there's a little bit of risk of him saying, hey, I want to be somewhere where I can really win, where I can maybe take a team to the next level and win a Stanley Cup, because at the end of the day, that's what people are going to critique about his career. If he doesn't win a Stanley Cup or multiple Stanley Cups, people are going to knock him for it. Remember Alex Ovechkin, how much flack he got before he ended up winning his Stanley Cup with the Capitals? McDavid's going to face some of that same stuff for his career. If he never wins a Stanley Cup through maybe the first 8-10 years of his career, people are going to be saying, well, can McDavid win a cup? And we're already starting to see that on Twitter a little bit. Some people are saying, when McDavid first got drafted, they said, oh, well, I think the Oilers are bound to get maybe 2 or 3 with him. And now at this point, some are starting to question if they'll ever even make a Stanley Cup Finals and if they'll win one ever with Connor McDavid. It'll be a big question on his legacy, and this is where the Edmonton Oilers could face potential backlash down the line, because Connor McDavid, knowing that will be the critique in his career, might at some point become so disgruntled that he wants out of Edmonton. Again, I'm not suggesting he's said that already, but I think that's a scary situation to head down. Look at the Buffalo Sabres, for example. Of course, much different situation. They've not been in the playoffs. They are the worst team in the NHL. There's not much debate to that. But Jack Eichel, is a near transcendent player. Not what Connor McDavid is, of course, but still a very, very phenomenal player. The best player on the Buffalo Sabres, no question. And Samson Reinhart's really his only teammate that's been helping him out for years. Jeff Skinner's been so inconsistent, you can't really count on him. Victor Olofsson there, of course, pretty solid in the power play situation. Rasmus Dahlin just hasn't lived up to the hype quite yet, especially on the defensive end. of the ice. But at the end of the day, Jack Eichel doesn't want to be there anymore because they're not winning at a high enough clip. And Connor McDavid, it's even more of a severe situation because he's such a great player, such an all-time talent, that he needs to be winning not only in the regular season and making the playoffs, but he needs to be winning playoff series and advancing far in the playoffs. That's going to be big for his career, for his financial gain, for everything about his legacy as well. Connor McDavid needs to win, and Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins are the only two players there that have been really, really key pieces for Edmonton, helping them get to where they've been. They need to add more talent to this roster. Otherwise, we could possibly see Connor McDavid on his way out. We've seen a few other players on their way out of Edmonton in years past. And quite frankly, if they lost McDavid, if he demanded his way out, of course, they get a ton of assets for him. But as well, that's not a good look for your franchise. And it'd be a real hard reset button for them to have to rebuild everything. They got very fortunate to have Connor McDavid. Of course, they were so terrible before him. But at the end of the day, having him has been such a big, big shift in their franchise. And yet, at this point, it hasn't fully shifted anything. 1-7 in the playoffs in the Connor McDavid era. And there's some question marks now. Is the Connor McDavid era going to end in Edmonton sooner rather than later? I want to know in the comments right now. Let me know if you think Connor McDavid will request a trade within the next 2 years if they continue to not win in the playoffs, not advance. Let me know. I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I would be surprised if it comes within the next year, but 2 years down the road, I can definitely see it. If it comes down to 2 more playoffs where they just don't win games, they don't win a series, I wouldn't blame Connor McDavid too much. His legacy is going to be dependent on that. He'll be 26 years old at the end of that second season. And he'll have already spent 8 years in the NHL. At that point, he's probably looking to maybe find a different home at that point. So you have to be a little cautious of that. If you're Edmonton, Oilers GM there has to make some good decisions and really improve this roster around McDavid and Draisaitl, because that's what it's going to come down to. This is the most important offseason, in my opinion, in Edmonton Oilers history. Let me know what you think they can do this offseason to get it done. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments regarding Connor McDavid, the Edmonton Oilers, Leon Draisaitl, and everything you guys think that they should do. I think that they definitely have to improve their forward depth. I think that they have to look for at least 1 or 2 defensemen in free agency that are going to be upgrades, and then probably try and scour the goaltender market via trade this offseason. We'll see exactly how they go and get that done there in Edmonton, but the clock is ticking. I'm telling you guys right now, I think the clock is ticking. Within 3-4 years, I'm sure McDavid won't be there if they don't win a playoff series in that time. That's going to put a lot of pressure on this franchise, put a lot of pressure on some of McDavid's teammates. But at the end of the day, that pressure might be good. Pressure creates diamonds, and here, that's what the Edmonton Oilers need. Thanks again, guys, so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe if you are new for more NHL content like this, and also more content in the future for the NBA, NFL, and MLB. Thanks again, guys, so much, and we'll catch you in the next video.